Hello my friends and welcome. As you may see, Russia continue its infamous vehicle attacks. For example, we have the report about it from Krigsforscher. He is a Ukrainian combat officer and he shares those kind of the pictures saying that his unit was responsible to kick out 3 of the Russian BTRs, 1 BTR-82 and 2 BTRs-70, quite rare. This vehicle is different with this one and different with this one, so all of those electronic warfare tools and the physical protection of the BTRs didn't help this time. Russia lost not just APCs but also some of the infantry personnel. Well, I'm still trying to find out the exact location where it happened, but Krigsforscher, I think he's based in Kharkiv region from what I know. So maybe somewhere in Pokrovsk Direction where Russia tried to assault with those vehicles. Just my guess, we'll see with the map updates, but this information is very fresh, was posted 4 hours ago. And guys, again, welcome. In this video we're gonna speak about frontline updates, recent news around Ukraine, and not only some of the kabooms which happened in Russia and sadly also in Ukraine. Yeah, our usual stuff. So buckle up and don't forget to press like to this video and subscribe for the channel. Let's go. Well, since we start with those vehicles, let's continue with the frontlines update. Let's go to Siversk. There was the enemy advancement today or yesterday, it's better to say. You can see that Russia moved with their main forces a little towards the southern area of Siversk, and yesterday today, and also they moved towards Zvanivka village with the gray area. So I would say that for the last couple of months, Russia is pretty much active in Sreblansky forest in all of this region. They advanced to Verkhnokamensk and now they are taking Siversk, and the next defense line is ongoing very close to Sloviansk. And I want to check this area on Google Earth because I see that the terrain is not easy there for Russians, even though there are just few of the defense lines of Ukraine, but the terrain itself may not let Russia to advance very fast. Let's check it. Yeah, here we are, the Google Maps. This is Sloviansk and this is Siversk. Yeah. So we need to check out this terrain, which is kind of rough, but it's not too much rough, I would say. There is some sort of the elevation, but here it's shown mostly as a flat terrain, plus minus. But still, it's not as in the Zaporizhia region. Ukraine may actually try to use this environment for improving defense. I don't think it's going to be an easy walk for Russians from Siversk to Sloviansk. Sloviansk is, after all, kind of far away, and Ukraine has one more defense line somewhere over here from those lakes coming southbound. Where else Russia moved for the last 24 hours? In Fedorivka. Fedorivka is also not far away from Siversk, so Russia definitely increased its presence here. Again, let's go to the place. Yesterday, today, yeah, not a big territorial gain, but still, you see, Russia gets more ground each day, little by little, exhausting its forces. Yeah, Russia is getting exhausted, but still they have resources to commence those attacks. For how long? No one knows. It may take even 2-3 years for Russia to take Sloviansk, Kramatorsk and Konstantinovka. There are some of the pessimistic forecasts, optimistic forecasts, but what is clear that after occupation of Pokrovsk and Mirnograd, which will happen for sure, Russia will concentrate its efforts to advance from the south, trying to bypass those settlements from the western flank. Southwest flank is better to say, yeah? By the way, in Mirnograd, I see there are some of the changes. Russia moved towards this populated or previously populated area. It was yesterday and it is today. Light advancement, but still. And Ukraine keeps control over Mirnograd, but it's very difficult for our guys to move out. I wonder why it was decision made like that to keep our forces in Mirnograd. It's all of the questions to Ukrainian command, my friends. I don't understand that. Our volunteers, they don't understand it, as many of the military officers. So our guys are basically, I would say, even now encircled. Yes, this bottleneck is not that tight, but there is already a presence of some of the small Russian groups on the way out, and the way into Mirnograd. Supplies are not possible to commence. Only drones may deliver something to Mirnograd. And about the number of the soldiers here, I was asked many of the questions. Different data is coming, but could be up to 1,000 Ukrainian troops, up to 1,000. That's what I know. So several hundreds of Ukrainian soldiers could be now in Mirnograd, and the only way for them to secure themselves is to get out with the small groups. And from the information I also obtained, again, it's not 100% correct, but probably it is correct, that our guys already have received the order to withdraw from Mirnograd. Which is kind of late, but it's better than too late. So yeah, they will use bad weather to move out with the small groups. That is what I think will happen in the coming week. But we have some of the good news coming from the Pokrovsk. There was an attempt, successful one for Ukraine, to expand the bottleneck, and our guys went to the industrial area of Pokrovsk and put the flag. The guys from the 7th Brigade, 7th Assault Brigade, yeah. Even Yulian Robke shared this information, so the presence of Ukrainian army is being confirmed not far away from Rivne. This is the crucial place. It says that actually Russian presence is here and there. There could be some of the Russian forces even further to the north, but those are just few of the soldiers. So we're not speaking about the tight encirclement of Ukrainian army in Mirnograd. As I say to you, if there is the presence of Ukrainian army here behind the railroad, well, it is a positive sign overall. Yeah, some Ukrainian channels report that the encirclement of Pokrovsk and Mirnograd does not exist. We are working on expanding logistic corridors, but we had the information like 3 days ago, and I quoted it on my channel. The information came from the soldiers themselves that they're encircled. Yeah, of course, there are some of the commanders, like, for example, commander of the 7th Corps of Assault Troops of Ukrainian Armed Forces, Brigadier Yevhen Lasichuk, but whether he deployed himself out there, no. So it's better not to trust any sort of the official information coming, and I better trust our volunteers and officers and analytics who share the information coming from the exact place. And 3 days ago, our soldiers in Mirnograd were screaming about poor supplies, like absence of supplies, which were only possible with drones. It means encirclement. Russians report the third time that they have encircled Pokrovsk and taken under their control. Well, Pokrovsk is impossible to encircle because there is a huge way out. For Mirnograd, it is possible to achieve. If there is no supplies, it means, yeah, I already told you. But there is still the chance for Ukrainian soldiers to move out with less losses as possible. And for that purpose, maybe Ukraine started some sort of the counterattack operation, a limited one, not far away from Rivne, to expand this bottleneck, and Ukrainian flag was spotted there today. And again, those footages showing the difficulties with the Ukrainian supplies in Pokrovsk Direction. Ukraine uses MRAPs, all-terrain vehicles, and those are the screenshots from the Russian drones. Also, you see that the weather is like that. It's very hard for our guys to transport something in Pokrovsk to Mirnograd and from Mirnograd. So I follow those channels on multiple of the social media, so I know what is happening on the front lines, and my duty here is to give you the truthful information, as truthful as it is. Yes, I cannot state like 100% of what particular is happening, but judging on those videos, on the signs and comments, even from Ukrainian side, the situation is not good in Mirnograd. I hope that Ukraine expands this bottleneck and our guys will be released somehow from the place. Alright, now about Ukrainian strikes on Russian territory. Every night, Ukraine launches many of the drones to hit Russian, very sensitive infrastructure, military bases, refineries, gas storages, whatsoever. And we have the confirmation, for example, this one is coming from the occupied region of Zaporizhia. There Russia tried to move some of the air defense system. This is Buk M3, from what I can see, that was hit. Russia is losing its air defense in Crimea, in occupied regions, on territory of Russia, elsewhere. They don't have enough air defense capabilities to protect entire Russia, all of their refineries. But what they do, they mostly protect Moscow and Putin personally. The last night, the Ryazan oil refinery was hit once again. It is already the third consecutive night that Ukraine strikes this enterprise with the drones. So at least it is damaged significantly. We may see some sort of the thick smoke coming, but also this tower is working, yeah? But this tower is not this refinery, it looks like it, but this is the tower itself, a little further away. Yeah, we have the confirmation about this kaboom. And this video is shared by Magyar. They're responsible for the strikes on this Russian refinery. They shared this video from long-range Ukrainian drone. Yeah, probably the first one wasn't that successful, but no, you see, the fire is out there, so something was hit, 100%. The problem, again, with those drones, that if they fly very fast, they start to Dutch roll left and right, so it's really hard to aim something. But we saw that there was the fire on the images before, so the strikes are successful. But unfortunately, Russia strikes Ukraine even harder. Russia has multiple tools for it. They have better drones, Shahed drones. They have the massive production. Also, they have cruise missiles, strategic aviation, caliber missiles, hypersonic missiles. So yesterday there were multiple of the strikes the last night in Kiev, and still drone attack continues even now. You see Kiev Oblast, Western Ukraine, Eastern Ukraine. In Dnipro itself, Russia hit the pharmacy factory, so there was the biggest pharmacy storage in all of the Eastern Ukraine, so there will be some of the shortages with that. In Kiev, some of the train stations were hit, railroads, so the situation is very difficult for Ukraine with electricity, with logistics, even blackouts, like everything of that is daily thing for Ukrainians, unfortunately. Yeah, that's the Fastov train station. Those are not the big trains used to transport cargo. This is the depot for, we call it Elektrichka, the train which is used to transport just passengers. It's the short connection between the closest cities possible. Elektrichka, the short-range trains which were hit. It's Fastov, Kievska Oblast, and for now I have reports that still Russia hits the same infrastructure there. And this is Russia, Belgorod Oblast. In attempt to hit Ukrainian territory, Russian pilots, bombed their own power plant in Belgorod. So the blackout is now in Russian Belgorod. Well done, Russian aviation. Well done. Some good news for Ukrainian aviation. Now Ukrainian F-16s are equipped with LAU-131 launchers carrying APKW-2 guided rockets. They're very effective against drones. And also those missiles or rockets, they're way cheaper compared to the standard air-to-air missiles like AIM-9. By the way, we have some new pictures with the Ukrainian drones. This is, I guess, C-Baby with two of the air-to-air missiles, AIM-9, the ones I just told you. And we already know about the successful use of this kind of modification. There was the Russian, I guess, Sukhoi 27 that was shut down, and a couple of the helicopters from Ukrainian drone boats. Russians are trying to use the same systems now for their Shahed drones, but the one that was carrying some of the missile was shut down by Ukrainian air defense drones, so for them, it is not successful yet, but for Ukraine, it is. It is nice. The news about Chernobyl. Several months ago, Russia launched the strike on this nuclear power plant and sarcophagus that was significantly damaged because of the Shahed drone strike. Well, today the International Atomic Agency published the report about the critical damage of this construction, and they say that it is not capable to contain radiation any longer. So the significant maintenance is required for the sarcophagus to continue to perform its function and mission. Well, that requires more of the investments, and you see how Russia aims directly towards a very sensitive nuclear infrastructure of Ukraine. And Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant also was out of electricity for a few hours. Again, we have it from the International Atomic Agency report, which could be critical for supplying the cooling systems of the power station, and Zaporizhzhia is way bigger compared to Chernobyl. And Russia plays with fire, experimenting and making the environment unsafe in Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Alright, so-called peace talks, but we have to say about those because they're some of the news related to this blah 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 happening. For example, Zelensky spoke with Trump advisors directly, so Witkoff and Kushner, today for almost 2 hours. According to Axios source and Reuters, they even spoke about the territorial concessions of Ukraine, and for sure Ukraine will not agree on any sort of the territorial concessions to give voluntarily some of the lands to Russia. It's already evident that Ukraine will never sign this kind of the document. And even if Ukraine had signed it, well, Russia would not agree on that. So I feel like a psychiatrist doctor, then we discuss this American side involved in those negotiations. For them it is like a business project. Not like, but it definitely is. They want to earn money in cooperation with Russia, and Ukraine is just an obstacle. They want to get rid of this obstacle no matter what. They want to stop the war in Ukraine, and the occupation of Ukrainian territories is like one more option. Well, there's also the information about the meeting between Zelensky, Macron, Starmer and Merz in London. It will start tomorrow on 8th of December. Well, of course, they will discuss those kind of the peace plans and also the worsening of relations between Europe and Ukraine and the United States of America. Because USA, they will let Europe alone with the threat coming from Russia by 2027. I would say they already left Europe alone. They would just withdraw the forces in 2027. That's the plan at least, and they already start the withdrawal of the forces from Romania, and there will be elections actually in 2028, so maybe just 2 years there will be no presence of Americans in Europe, and I just hope that everything will change with the new United States president-elect after 2028. Hopefully it will not be too late. Well, actually, if you think about it, from one side it is good that United States tell Europe, okay, you have to rely on your own. You cannot just purchase Russian fossil fuels without any sort of the investments in your army or limited investments and hoping for United States to protect you. Europe should have done its own military program long time ago. Europe should come out with solution to make its own European common army. Without it, Europe is not capable to fight this massive aggression which could potentially come from Russia if Russia announces a new mobilization. Potentially could be 2 million people, soldiers easily. We should not disregard that potential move from Russia. But the timing for United States to tell Europe you should rely on yourself, the timing is the worst possible. Then there are threats from China, threats from Russia, so there should be some period of time for Europe to adapt, to improve its logistics, to start massive productions of weapons, and to somehow change the perception of people that there is a threat in the future, so potentially we need to prepare for it. You don't need to explain it to ex-Soviet countries or the countries which were under the Soviet influence, like for example Baltics, Poland. They understand the real threat, so for example Poland is boosting its army very, very high, uncomparable to the rest of the European countries, and Baltic states, they're getting ready, and I'm sure that they're more ready for defense compared to multiple other countries. Finland also, I think, but the more you go to west, the less understanding there is that this potential threat from Russia is actually very possible. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I hope Russia will not be so stupid to start one more massive confrontation, a hot stage of war against NATO, but they might do it. We should expect this variant absolutely. By the way, about Poland and United States, because United States want to withdraw its forces from Europe, they propose Poland to purchase Stryker APCs, Army Personnel Carrying Vehicles, for a symbolic price. From what I understood, $1 per vehicle, but Poland, after all, will have to invest into the maintenance of those. We're speaking about 250 of Strykers, potentially could appear in Polish forces. It is good. I would say that American vehicles are fantastic. They save the lives of our soldiers. They have very robust armor, mine protection, Bradleys, they're superb, as well as those Strykers. They're awesome. The only downside is the price, but overall, those are fantastic. All right, about this Tomahawk drama, we have the clarification from the ex-United States ambassador in Ukraine, William Taylor. She said that Pentagon actually finalized this deal, and it was just Donald Trump who stopped it and stalled completely. For now, no one says about supplyment of those missiles to Ukraine, but physically, we know that it is possible. Yeah, the limited number of the ground launchers, but still, it is possible. And it was Witkov who suggested Putin to call Donald Trump just before the meeting with Zelensky, so Trump and Putin talk, and that deal was cancelled just as an outcome of this conversation. Trump said about it himself that he made up the decision about Tomahawks. Remember, yeah? Like 1 week before the meeting with Zelensky, he said that, well, yeah, here we go. Witkov is playing for Russia. The good news for Ukraine that average Americans, you guys who watch this channel, I mean my American audience, you continue to support Ukraine. So according to the recent poll, 64% of Americans support sending additional United States weapons to Ukraine, the highest ever collected data by the Reagan National Defense Survey. The highest ever, freaking ever. And does Donald Trump follow the will of his people? Absolutely not. People understand what is happening, that United States, it's the interest of the United States to make Europe safe. And the only possibility is not to make business deals with aggressor state, but to support Ukraine with its fight for independence, to defend itself physically. Russia may only stop physically. History teaches us that all of the deals, agreements with Russia, they worth basically nothing. Russian signature is useless. Yeah, of course, I'll repost and share it. I have my Twitter account, but I use it to follow those guys like Preston Stewart and many others, OSINT Analytics, and share my videos out there as links. That's it. But we have some of the big drama today happening on Twitter because Twitter is getting fined by European Union Commission, and Elon Musk is melting down about it. Yeah, Elon went completely unhinged. He is calling to abolish the European Union. He calls also today for all of those European Union countries to be separate and independent. All of that because of 120 million euro fine that now Twitter or X will have to pay because of, not because the Euro Commission fights against freedom of speech, that is what Elon Musk tries to tell, but because of the platform regulations are not okay with European digital policy. Europe tried to resolve this problem in contacting directly the service X, but unsuccessfully. So they decided to find the structure for quite substantial amount of money. But for Elon, it's understandable that it's basically nothing. Nevertheless, he's crying like the baby bitten by those European corrupt bureaucrats. Yeah, the system in Europe is not ideal, but it's better than to have those kind of the influencers unhinged totally in Europe. They want to dismiss European Union as the bloc. For those corporate greedy bastards, it's of course better for Europe to be disintegrated. A good old divide and rule, that is what they want. They want corporations to be on top of those regulations and governments. It's not the first fine for American company. Meta got those fines, Facebook, Google. No one was screaming that much as Elon. And even American politicians, J.D. Vance, Rubio, oh, what is happening? European Union, it is bad. Yeah, yeah, we know how it is bad, and luckily Europeans, they have their own policy. Yeah, lots of the bureaucracy there, but still it is better than those bricks. Yes, the European Union should be abolished and sovereignty returned to individual countries so that the governments can better represent their people. It's like saying United States should be abolished and all of the states should get their own sovereignty to better represent local people. Something like that, yeah? Or you may say the same stuff for Russia. And by the way, Russia blocked this platform on its own territory. And Russia, Medvedev and Kirill Dmitriev, they started to tell, oh, repressions from European Union. Yeah, Kirill Dmitriev retweeted Secretary Marco Rubio. European Union's fatal mistake, chosen censorship over debate, ideology over reality, mass migration over security, and green dogma over industry. Says the Putin's friend, where everything is blocked, where people are in prison for saying some of the wrong word towards Putin. It's the highest possible level of hypocrisy, absolutely highest. Kirill Dmitriev himself is forced to use a VPN to make this sort of the tweet. His location was France. Yeah, the Russian government has banned X. Russian citizens cannot access X without VPN service. And Elon never ever complained about that one. Absolutely. He just complains about EU. And Medvedev is like, exactly, yeah, Europe is bad. The idea for Russia, like, it's the best possible scenario for Russia. for United States and for Europe to not be in a friendship or in common even defense alliance. For them, it's better to create this some sort of the beef between partners or allies, you may call them, if United States is still an ally for you, if this is happening. Withdrawing the forces, support from Ukraine, from EU, and tweeting that stuff, yeah. Very bad. I like the response of Radoslaw Sikorski, the foreign minister of Poland. How long before the EU is gone? Abolish the EU. He says to Elon, go to Mars. There is no censorship on Nazi salutes there. Exactly. The perfect response. And by the way, I filmed a separate video about that one on my Captain Dennis channel. Guys, if you are interested in some of the other videos that I film about politics, about what is happening in the world, also I stream there every day. You may find this channel in the video description just below. And today we have reached 27,000 subscribers, which is outstanding. And soon there will be 300 videos. Wow. Well, on this channel, it's more than 1,500 already. Crazy number. I'm here daily for you. That's why, by the way, your support is very important on Patreon and membership of the channel. Because of it, you keep me running, guys. It is my full-time job, so if you have this opportunity, you may also support me on Patreon and membership. And coming back to the military support of Ukraine, as you may see, here blue is support from Europe and black is the support coming from the United States of America. Here is then Donald Trump blocked the military support in Congress, and by the time Ukraine lost Avdiivka. And here, you may see nothing black is here in this graph. It means that all of the support is coming from European Union. Yeah, some of the American weapons are out there, but Europe pays for it. That's why we see only blue color. And we also see how it dropped down. So Biden tried to boost it before he left with all of this, but now it's gone completely. But in fact, for Ukraine to conquer Russian attacks, it should be something like that. Common support should be boosted by multiple of the times, but we don't see it even in a close perspective. And just for laugh, let's watch this video from Ukrainian trenches. What is this animal? The video quality is not that great, but you can see the skunk-like one, yeah? Something like that. It's very aggressive. I don't know how to get it out. They try to have different tools to get the animal out from the trench. It's like a big trap for it.
Куда? Ух, бля. Пошел. Давай.
Yeah, finally they put the armor vest, and it was like a ladder for this creature to escape the trench. So write me in the comments what kind of the animal is that, guys. It's the first time I see this one.
Давай.
Yeah, was interesting. Yeah, it happened somewhere in Ukraine. I sometimes see animals on those videos, but this one I see for the first time. And already it turned to the meme. Of course, yeah, 100%. But it's not a skunk. It has a different color, but from the same family as the skunk. So tell me, what is this one? And guys, again, thanks for supporting my job on Patreon and membership. If you don't have this opportunity to support me like that, just press your like to this video and subscribe for the channel, because it boosts this video in YouTube algorithms. That really helps me a lot. Thank you so much for it as well. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.